Hi, this is The Greatest Story Ever Played. I'm Dan, and with me are Steph and
Oh,
Nikki from Game Till 5.
hello.
Yeah, what we're here to do today is we're going to be talking about Beyond Two Souls. But before we do that, I want to let them introduce themselves and tell you a little bit about Game Till 5.
Sure. So as Dan said, my name is Steph, and I'm joined by Nikki all the time. All the time. She never leaves.
No, never.
And we just talk about our top fives in video games. So more video game knowledge, but more lists.
Just a lot of lists, yeah. And I also have another podcast, if anyone wants to listen to that. It's called Not For Girls. It's more of a general life podcast. But yes, we've got two. If you're interested, go check them out.
Yes. Yeah, highly recommend checking out both podcasts. They're both great. I've enjoyed listening to them a lot. Also, if you want more of the three of us talking about stuff, they came on, I don't know, maybe a year ago to talk about The Vanishing of Ethan Carter. And around a year ago also, I went on and we talked about top 5 games for beginners on Game Till 5. So if you want more of this, there's more. The internet's there for you. So, yeah, awesome. And again, thanks so much for coming on again. I had a lot of fun last times, and I'm excited to talk about this game together.
Yeah, thanks very much for having us again.
Of course. Cool. So I guess with that, we'll start digging into Beyond Two Souls. So I'll start off with just a description of the game. It says, one life, two souls. Experience an emotionally charged, immersive thriller starring Academy Award nominees Ellen Page and Willem Dafoe. Create an action-packed story through your choices and actions as you live the life of Jodie Holmes, a girl born with a link to a supernatural entity. By playing as both Jodie and the entity, you face spectacular physical and psychological challenges to understand what truly lies beyond. So that sort of sets up our game, and I think the two big things there that are pretty exciting is you've got kind of big-name actors in these leading roles in the game, which is pretty cool. You don't always see that.
Yeah, I was so happy to see Willem Dafoe. I think he's an amazing actor. And I didn't realise before I played it that he was in it. So, like, as soon as I saw his face. And I think back then as well, I feel like we weren't so used to seeing actors' faces in video games. And so that was cool. And obviously, Ellen Page was awesome as well. But yeah, that was very cool.
Yeah, I can't really remember many games before that having faces in it. Maybe L.A. Noire?
Yes. Yeah, that was one of them.
Yeah, I was going to say, it doesn't seem very common. Usually they just make a digital face of someone else or whatever is the norm. So that's pretty cool. And then just a little background on the game itself is it's developed by Quantic Dream, who are mostly known for Detroit Become Human and Heavy Rain, along with this game. And they all sort of have that same vibe of a lot of choices, branching paths. That's sort of the style of games these are.
Yeah, they love a path. Quantic. Love making us choose things.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's just a little bit about the game before we get into it. I have one question I feel like we have to discuss, which is, so the entity's name is Aiden, but to me at least, it's spelled like Aiden. How do you say this name?
I wanted to talk about this.
Yeah.
It bugs me. Like, I've never ever heard Aiden be said like I see it as Aiden, like that's I think how we would pronounce it, especially in this country as well, it's just Aiden. But Aiden, I thought it was maybe like maybe a non-British thing. I thought maybe it was like a sort of a USA thing, but obviously it sounds like you obviously weren't sure of Aiden either, so that's really interesting.
Yeah, I'd never heard it before, and so same thing. I was like, it must be from somewhere that's not the United States, because I've never heard it.
Yeah, because I think it's like, is it? Because I always thought the same thing, but then because I know like Anna for us is sometimes pronounced Anna in the States, but spelled the same way we would. So I just thought it was one of those things. But yeah, now obviously you've said it's Aiden. I'm confused. Where does it come from?
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm not sure. I did a poll on Twitter to see what people thought, and like 70 or 80% said Aiden like we do, and then other people said Aiden. But I think some of it was coming from the game says Aiden, so it's Aiden kind of thing, which is fair. That's probably what I'll still use when I play, since that's how they said it. But I was like, I don't say it that way. Yeah, so I don't know where that's from. I guess anyone listening, if you're from somewhere where you say Aiden, for this typically, let us know. That would be really good information, because I wasn't sure if like Ellen Page got bad cue cards or something. Like I wasn't sure.
Well, the only thing I can think of is, isn't Quantic Dreams, are they French games development
I think you're
company?
right.
So
Yeah,
maybe it's French. But that's just a guess. I don't know.
French pronunciation. Does that sound that French?
No, not really. It's just a shot in the dark.
I was going to do it in a French accent, and I was like, no, it's going to be terrible.
That's awesome. Yeah, so I'm not really sure. I think I wouldn't have noticed it either if I didn't play with subtitles on, because I would have never read it, so I'd just been like, Aiden, it's a made-up ghost name, and just like moved on. But because I read it, I was like, have I been saying this name wrong my whole life? Like,
Yeah.
Just reassessing. I've met so many people named Aiden. Have I just been doing it terribly?
right. They all just like, God, why can't you figure this out? Cool. Well, I'm glad we have that established. I felt like that was really important going in. Yeah, because, it stood out to me for sure. And so also, I guess as another thing to point out as we go through our kind of recap of the game is that this game is told non-linearly, where it just bounces all around the timeline. And so you play as Jodie from, I think, maybe ages like 9 to like 25 or something. And so you'll get chapters where it's like, oh, here's her at 10, and then later on at, 18, and then at 25, and then back to 9, or, that kind of stuff. And so we decided it would be better to just do it chronologically, because it'd be real confusing.
And I think originally, because I played it on the PS3, I remember it only ever had the normal option of doing it that way, but now I think maybe not, I can't remember, but obviously now they offer the chronological version. I played that one later on, and I think I preferred it, to be honest. It was a bit of a weird pacing, it felt like, but I think I prefer things chronologically as opposed to like dotted around. I don't know about you guys, what you prefer to play.
I think I preferred it chronologically, but I think you can unlock it in the right order once you've played it once, right?
Yeah, it might be that. I don't know if it was always there, but it's definitely something that, you can definitely do afterwards, potentially.
Okay. On mine, I've got a PS4 version, and it gave me like the original order or the remix, and
cool.
I just did the original because I was like, well, I guess that's how it was supposed to be, so that's how I played it. But it does seem like this would maybe be better as a non-linear story.
I think it's sort of preference. I think for me, I enjoyed doing both, and then I was able to kind of decide what I preferred. But yeah, it does work. It works both ways for sure.
Mm-hmm. No, totally. Yeah, so I guess that's kind of our kind of main info going into the game. So I guess to start us off, the game starts off with Jodie, chronologically we start off, I guess, not the game, but chronologically, we're starting off with Jodie as a child. She's playing around her house, and she's upset that Aiden's getting her in trouble. And at this point, you're like, I don't know what Aiden is. It feels like it's like, okay, do you have like a ghost or an imaginary friend? Like, you're not really sure at this point. And she's upset that she's getting in trouble around the house. Ultimately, her mom just like sends her outside, so she goes to play outside. And she sneaks onto the street through her backyard and plays with some kids in the neighborhood. A snowball fight's going on. But then this bully kid, just shoves snow in her face and is kind of choking her out as like a kid, kid choking out with snow. So Aiden freaks out and starts choking himself to help Jodie. The kids all are like, she's a witch, she has powers, and freak out. Her dad comes out and yells at Jodie and says, you're not supposed to be outside, and takes her in. And it's not a great scene. You just kind of feel bad for Jodie, the child here. I
really got annoyed at those kids because I was like, if that was me, I'd be like, cool, you have powers, let's be friends. This is awesome. But those kids are just jerks.
I mean, I guess their introduction to that though is one of them is being strangled. It's not this cool, she's just floating snowballs around and doing some
maybe
fun
I should
stuff.
question my judgment on how I make friends, but to me, I think that would be pretty cool. But
you have the power to choke people? Amazing. Let's go try this out.
You choke people? Let's be friends. It's the new. Do you like dogs?
Yeah, that's true. Do you choke people? Cool.
Cool. Let's be friends.
Nikki the psychopath. All right, good to know.
It's not going well for me so far. But also, her dad is an asshole.
Right.
Yes.
Did not
Fuck
like
that
him.
guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So her dad is an asshole, and she overhears her parents fighting, and her dad's like, she's a demon. We got to get her out of here, like that kind of attitude. And her mom's like, she's our kid. Like, no. So you see the mom's in her corner, but dad is definitely a jerk who's like, we got to get rid of her, and is like afraid of her, but also mad at her kind of attitude. So we get that as kind of early childhood for Jodie. Then we move a little bit forward, and she has an interview with Dr. Dawkins, Willem Dafoe. And Jodie tells him about Aiden. She can, draw a picture of him or say how he's been there, that sort of stuff. And so Jodie's parents are like, hey, you're going to have a overnight here at Dr. Dawkins because he's going to be able to study about you and Aiden, and it'll be helpful. And when she goes to sleep, the monsters attack, which are these entities, essentially, that, show up throughout the rest of the game that are kind of like a dark cloud of sorts.
Yeah,
sort
they're
of
like
attack
bad
you.
items, I guess, right? They're almost like not good versions kind of thing.
Yeah. They're bad items that just kind of show up, and I don't know, it's hard to tell if other people see them or not. It seems like they sometimes can, but maybe not always.
Yeah, it's never really explained who can see what and what they see if they can, that kind of thing, really, is it?
Yeah. But Aiden does come to the rescue. He saves her and fights them off long enough that Dawkins and Cole, who is Dawkins' partner in the lab, that they work together with Jodie, and they come and console Jodie. And so she has kind of a rough first night there for sure. Then we get a little bit further in time, and Jodie's parents come and say, hey, we're getting transferred to a new base, and you need to stay here. So good luck, kid.
So
Abandoned her
horrible.
there. Yep. Dad got his way.
Right. Abandoned her there. It sucks. Her dad's a real asshole in this again. Where he's just like, we gotta go. We don't have time.
Not even going to say
sucks.
goodbye.
Right. And her mom, though, is nice. Again, she's like, I hope we can, be together again, and, I care about you, kind of thing. So it does seem like her mom is more of a good person.
Definitely.
But, yeah, her dad, though, still a jerk. And so then Jodie now lives with Dawkins and is, part of his research, and just gets to live there and have her own, room and grow up inside a lab.
I gotta say, though, that I absolutely adore Cole. I don't know if anyone
Cole's
else
the
loves
best.
him, but I love him.
Yeah, oh, me too. I think he might actually be my favorite character in this game.
Yes. There's just something, I think something so nice about sort of his relationship with Jodie. And sorry, I can never remember the character's name, but Willem Dafoe, his relationship is also nice with Jodie, but there's just something about Cole and hers, I think, that's just really special.
Yeah, I just never really trusted Dawkins. He's nice to her, but I just never really fully trusted him. But Cole I trusted. I liked Cole a lot. And as we'll kind of go through, I think he's one kind of remained the nicest one that she meets, the nicest person.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he seems to be I think Dawkins at first, but whatever, we'll see as it goes. But that they treat her as just a girl who they work with. They don't treat her like someone who has an entity with her or whatever. They just are it seemed like Cole would treat her like he would his own daughter or any other.
You can see that they do really care about her.
Yeah, which is great, and you see that with Dawkins too. But later on, I feel less good about him.
Yeah, he's nice. He's just got a bit of a weird feel to him sometimes, I think, Dawkins.
Mm-hmm. Right, yeah. So new family number 2, essentially. In
Science
the lab.
family.
Yeah, science family. And so Jodie then does this experiment with, there's a woman across like glass who is like picking up various objects, and then she has to point to them herself on her end because Aiden will go over there and like be able to tell her, it's the card with the square on it, or that sort of thing. Does the experiment again, just kind of saying, okay, this Aiden thing is way, I don't know, bigger and more powerful than maybe we realized it could be. Like, you can do a lot with this if you know how to handle it.
Did you smash up that room at all when doing this?
I didn't. I did
I
you
did
guys?
a little bit. I did a little bit on my second playthrough, I think.
That was smash.
I was just like, fuck it, let's go.
Oh yeah, I really scared my woman. I was like smashing stuff up, throwing things around. Just having a good time. I didn't hurt her. Apparently you can like actually choke her. I think it gives you the option
that's
to like choke her out. But I think I just like smashed some stuff and scarred her a little bit.
She still got scared on mine. Like I maybe like knocked something off the desk and then she like ran to the door and then like the door was like locked and so she was freaking out. But I didn't like terrorize her.
I think I had an evil playthrough.
Yeah, that was something that's kind of interesting as this game goes through. Like, as you go further, there's a lot of, like, do you want to go evil, like, high Aiden fighting, almost, or, like, not? And I ended up finding that a lot through, like, childhood and teenage years, I didn't really do any of that. Like, I was, like, I was a lot more chill about it, but it seemed like they kind of wanted you to fuck shit up.
I don't think I was so chill.
Okay.
You had no chill.
No, that's good. I'm glad.
I don't think I went full crazy, but I don't think I had much chill. I think that's cool. I'm interested to see what you guys got there.
Yeah, no, me too. I think I was like, I know I'm not probably playing it how they want me to, but like I'm just more of a
I want to
compliant
be good.
person. Yeah. So I don't want to like do bad stuff all the time. But so we go forward a little more, and they're doing like a night test session. So like, okay, how does Aiden work when he's sleepy or when Jodie's sleepy or something? So they're doing that at night, and Jodie ends up seeing 2 bloody women like walking around the office, and is of course frightened by it. And she's talking with Dawkins, and he gets a phone call, and he finds out that his family was killed in a car accident on the way home tonight. And so you've got that sort of, oh, is that who Jodie's seeing? A couple days later, the spirit of Dawkins' daughter wakes Jodie up and kind of leads her to Dawkins. And she goes and she holds Dawkins' hands, and the entity is like able to, her family, or Dawkins' family is able to speak to him through Jodie and say like, we love you. It was like painless. Like you need to move on. We love you, kind of thing.
I found this part quite uncomfortable, but then also kind of nice, I think. Mm-hmm. When he kind of, at first he was like freaking out about it, but sort of I think when he registered, I think that was quite nice for that to happen to him, I think. I don't know, I think that might have sort of changed him a bit, obviously, for the future, but it was quite a nice but weird scene.
Yeah. I think it feels like it's almost going to start off on like a horror route a little bit. Yeah. Like when you start seeing things like that, and then like you said, it kind of makes quite a nice moment, calms down again. But yeah, it's a little bit weird. I mean, a little bit. It's not a normal occurrence.
Yeah, I felt similar. It was like, this is like, it feels a little scary, but then it was like nice that maybe Dawkins got closure he needed. Yeah. Like that's what it sort of felt like.
Yeah, definitely.
So this kind of wraps up Jodie's younger years. And so then it fast forwards and we get to interact with Jodie as a teenager. And it starts off with her going to a birthday party for another girl her age who lives on the base. Dawkins drops her off, like, and is like, "You've been begging to go to this, like, go have fun," when Jodie's kind of getting nervous and has second thoughts a little bit. But Jodie goes, and the sense that I had going into this is one of, like, the few times that Jodie's interacted with anyone her age before.
Yeah, you don't get the sense that she's allowed out of the lab often, and, like, the most people she sees is probably, like, Dawkins and Cole, so...
Yeah, so I felt like that was... I thought they kind of captured that well, because it seems like it would be the nervousness that you would have as an early high schooler, no matter what, but then probably amplified being, like, you actually don't know anyone that age either. Like,
Yeah, it's terrifying.
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. And unfortunately, her experience isn't great. So she gets in, and the adults leave, and so she, like, thinks it's just going to be, like, a nice standard birthday party. Instead, what happens is the adults leave, the kids are like, "Cool, let's shut the blinds and smoke weed and drink." And so Jodie's thrown into a situation that she's not ready for. So the kids are like kind of your typical high school party thing. There's, I think, maybe like 6 of them there. So it's not like huge, but they all have been friends for a while, clearly, and Jodie's like the new person. Who maybe got invited because Dawkins asked the girl's mom to invite her, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So Jodie's like trying to socialize through this. It's a little bit awkward. She can choose to, like, party with them and smoke weed and drink and stuff. I think I drank a beer when I played to be like, I'm gonna fit in, but I'm not trying to, like, get fucked up or anything.
I think I did that as well. Yeah.
I think same. And it's all, you feel so bad for her. She literally goes from not having any experience with any kids to being in, like, kids with peer pressure, like, instantly.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, you really felt for her. And, like, there's, like, a spot where a guy's like, "Hey, do you want to dance?" And she's like, "Okay." Or I went and danced with him, but then he's, like, trying to make out. And I was like, "No, like, I don't know you." Like,
Forward.
Yeah, it was like, we met, like, a half an hour ago. Like,
Yeah, just because she's been in the science lab all the time does not mean that she's desperate.
Right, yeah, it was just like, ugh. And then the kids all, like, give presents to the girl who it's her birthday. Jodie had, like, a rare book of Edgar Allan Poe poems that Dawkins got for her. It's not received well. She gets made fun of for bringing an old book, and then they lock her under the stairwell like Harry Potter.
I hate these kids. I hate
They're
them
just
so
the
much.
worst. Like, that's a pretty cool present. Like, nowadays, if you gave that to a teenager, I think they'd be like, "You're, like, the coolest kid ever."
Yeah.
Like, you're so, like, grown up. You're giving a book. I don't know.
They're just little assholes.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember this on my first playthrough, and I got annoyed, and oh wait, we're not actually there yet, but I didn't take very well to them. Second time round, I promised myself I wouldn't be bad, but I was. We'll get to that in a second. I'm getting ahead of myself.
Yes. No, so from here, right, you get locked under the closet. You're Harry Potter. It sucks. And so you use Aiden to get you out, which is good. And you have the choice to either walk out the front door and just leave and walk home, which is pretty sad in itself, or you can say, "Fuck it, I'm going after him." And
Revenge.
Go full revenge. As I said, I played pretty tame, so I walked home sad.
Aww.
Yes,
that's what I promised myself I was going to do my second time round. I was like, I'm just going to leave it. I'm just going to walk out with my head high. But then I experienced it all over again, being treated like that. And I was like, nope. And I'd scared the hell out of them again. Steph, what about you?
Did you just scare them? Or, because you can do things like set fire to the house and...
Wow, I didn't know that.
You can cause a fire, and I think you can, like, throw stuff at the kids, like, actually hit them with things and stuff. I don't think I went that far, but I definitely set fire to the house.
Okay, I hit them, but I didn't set fire to the house, so we both went a little bit cray.
I was like, I'm taking this place down.
No, that's great. I'm glad someone did it. I wanted to, but I was like, I'm gonna just leave. Like, I'll just leave. But burn the house down. So what happens when you burn the house down? How does that go?
You don't really see it burn down. You just kind of see it set fire, and then I think, like, all the kids run out the house, and you get a very similar ending where the mum is like what the hell's wrong, like just calling you a demon, and stuff like that. Like they just don't take very very well to it. Like yeah.
Sorry, I'm gonna say I'm picturing a meme now of like Jodie walking away from the house with like the house on fire, like just sort of smiling. I'm liking that.
I think like I think you can like knock them unconscious if you like throw furniture at them, but I don't think I went that far. I think I just like knocked some stuff over and set the fire, and then they will just kind of escape, which is fine. But yeah, you're not welcome back. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
I don't want to come back because your house is
don't have a place to come back to now. Set fire to it.
Now who's smart? No, that's awesome. That's great. I like that. So I think then the start of our next one is a little different. So our next time, Jodie is trying to sneak out of the lab, and that she wants to be able to like go do cool teenager stuff, which I feel like after this experience, I wouldn't want to at all. Like the outside world is clearly mean. I don't want anything to do with it, but for some reason, Jodie wants to sneak out. I think for yours then, is she like in a punk rock phase?
Yeah, you have like big emo hair. I think you've got like blue in your hair.
Like blue or purple hair, yeah. And you're like wearing like a tartan skirt. Yeah, you're definitely quite punky.
Yeah. Are you not that way if you're good then?
No, she's like still wearing kind of the same sort of clothes as before, like more formal-ish. Yeah. So I was surprised that my Jodie would want to sneak out anyway. It doesn't really fit to me, but whatever. So what she ends up doing is uses Aiden to possess Cole to sneak out, which felt really mean in itself.
I didn't like that.
Yeah, I didn't like doing that either. Cole's the best. Like, can't do him like that.
Cole daddy.
Yeah. So when I was doing this one, I really basically wanted to get caught because I didn't want to sneak out in the first place. So I possessed Cole, but then I made it to his car, but then I stayed in the front seat and the security office caught me and I got sent back. Wow. Okay. So mine was pretty short-lived because I didn't want to have it happen anyway, personally. So I was like, I'm going to just sabotage myself.
Yeah, I think that was the right idea. Because
it doesn't go well.
No.
Yeah. What happens? My understanding is you go to a bar or something?
Yeah, so you walk into this horrible, dingy, like, bar, and there's, like, the guy who owns it seems a bit creepy anyway, and there's, like, two guys playing pool, and they just do not seem like nice people. You go in there, you just ask for a lemonade, and they give you a lemonade, you say, I think you basically kind of say that you're not the right age to be there, but and then you go and play, like, pinball, you're just trying to just pretend to be cool, like, wait for some friends. I don't know if you are, but she says that she's waiting for some friends, and these two guys end up trying to talk to you, trying to get you to play pool with them. I think you can play with them or you can say no. But you basically they try and kind of like sexually assault Jodie, which is really horrible. They don't obviously go through with it. She ends up kind of jumping onto like the pool table and sort of curling onto a ball. And then Aiden comes along and he can then fuck them up, just like at the party. And this can go one or two ways. I don't know what Steph did, but I think I just kind of scared them. But you do have the option to murder them.
I just scared them, I think. Yeah. Like I think again I threw stuff at them, but I didn't like murder them.
I only know that because I watched a YouTube playthrough of someone that did, like, you can get a guy to get a shotgun and just basically kill them all, which is intense. Man. Or what just ends up happening is security come in either way and they get you and they take you back. But yeah, so it's not a great experience. So I think staying in the car was a good move.
Yeah, no, hearing that, I'm glad I got caught. Yeah. I'm glad I made myself not go out there. That sounds horrible.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what Jodie was thinking, wanting to sneak out in that whole scenario anyway. Like, I just feel like after the party, I wouldn't go out at all.
Yeah, she never has a good experience with people outside so far.
Right, yeah. It's like, I think I would just be total shut-in. I'd be like, my friends will be on Reddit or something. Like,
digital friends only, thank you.
Right, yeah. They're nice to me there. But, yeah, not great. Jodie's life was kind of shitty sometimes, for sure. So from here, we Jodie's still a teenager living at the lab, and Dawkins asks Jodie for help. Apparently, there's another lab somewhere else that studies the infraworld like they do, which is where the entities essentially live when they're not in our world. And they opened a portal to it, but it went to shit, and a bunch of entities came out and like killed a bunch of scientists and have this lab just kind of overrun, and it's chaos. And so they say, Jodie, we need you to go in there and close the portal for us and kill the entities if you can. So Jodie says, okay, fine, I can do it. So you make your way through the hospital. I would say this is maybe the moment that felt most horror game-like to me through playing. Because it's pretty creepy. You're going through, you like see just dead people like around. You have to fight like a possessed person.
Yeah, that was quite disturbing.
Yeah, and it's like a creepy old lab. You don't know what they've been doing in there, and yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of wild. Ultimately, you do make it, and you are able to close the portal and save everyone, but you come out, and Dawkins is like, I'm sorry you had to do that. And for me, and I guess for both of you too, because none of us have killed anyone at this point, like, this is like the most violence we've had to be exposed to so far, and in it was like, I'm not sure like a teenager should have to do this. Like,
yeah, I think that's what made me like not really be a massive fan of like Nathan at this time, Dr. Dawkins. Like, I think the fact that he was like, you have to go and do this, I was a bit like, still a child essentially. Like, yes, I have these cool powers, but this isn't cool.
It was a bit much
Yeah.
for like a 17, 16-year-old girl.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a lot to ask of her. Yeah, so we do solve that, and then one day we're at the lab, and a guy named Ryan Clayton shows up from the CIA and says, hey, Jodie, you are recruited, you're part of the CIA now, come with me. So she has to leave the lab and say goodbye. It's sad because Dawkins and Cole can't really do anything about it. Like, it's just, the CIA seemingly owns the lab or oversees them, so they just sort of have to answer to that. So Jodie is part of the CIA now, and it's like, okay, cool, you have this power. Well, guess what? You're a CIA agent now. We're going to turn you into one, and we're going to use you for stuff. So it starts off, you get this like montage of Jodie going through CIA training, like learning to fight, running a bunch, learning to use weapons, all that sort of stuff. To just be equipped, I would say, as any CIA agent would. You kind of get the vibe that she is that capable at this point, as a person without Aiden.
Yeah, they don't really touch on training Aiden or anything, do they? They just kind of make her do stuff.
There's like one bit where they make him like knock over some barrels, and I think that's about it. I think most of it is like her physical training, which I think is cool because she does get like really, really fit, and you can tell that she can now like probably kill a man like with her own hands as opposed to like Aiden, which is fortunate for her because she gets herself into obviously a lot of situations that are bad, but it is tough on her. I think that's the only downfall. It doesn't look easy at all.
No, definitely.
Yeah, it looks really challenging, and I think would be pretty hard, like, being forced into it, too. Like, I guess if you wanted to be in the CIA and you're like, cool, I've got to do all this stuff, but, like, I was living in a lab for 18 years or 10 years or whatever, and now I have to do this. Like, I feel like that would be kind of hard to adjust to.
Although I guess she's kind of used to just being told what to do, I guess, on a day-to-day basis. Like living at the lab, she's just told to go places and do experiments and things like this. Like, I guess she's kind of grown up that way a little bit, but obviously not to that extreme.
Yeah.
That's a great point. She hasn't really had a lot of her own agency. Like, everyone just kind of tells her what to do, and she lives in a quarters or whatever that are provided by them, and she just kind of, it's like, okay, you told me to do this thing, I'm going to go do that thing. And it's like, maybe almost like naively trusting of sorts. Like, it's just kind of like, that's what she has to do, so that's her situation.
Yeah, I guess she doesn't really think about it too much. You're right, actually, she's probably quite naive if she's lived all the time with those, like, two people, and that's kind of it.
Yeah, that's I hadn't thought of that when I was playing, but talking right now is like light bulbed, and I was like, oh, that's that's kind of interesting. So from here, she goes on a mission with Ryan. Jodie and Ryan go to this embassy, and what she does is she uses Aiden to read documents in the Sheik's safe that's there. And so how she does this is she ends up going to the restroom and uses Aiden to do it. So when she uses Aiden, if she's like, it's floating around, it's sort of like the her eyes kind of roll back in her head and looks kind of like possessed kind of thing, while she's like using Aiden to float around and use him as her vision kind of thing. So she's in the bathroom and has her notebook out, and she starts writing everything down that was in these documents inside the safe of the Sheiks. So she like gets that figured out and ultimately makes it out, but she's really fatigued and has her nosebleed and stuff. So it's clear that like using Aiden a whole lot can physically harm her. Like it's not good for her body.
Yeah, is that like the first time that we see that? Oh, I guess she has it when she's a kid, right? I think if I smash stuff in the first bit, I think it happens. So I think it might have happened for me before, but I guess maybe not so much for like you, Dan, where maybe you didn't use him quite as strongly to smash stuff. A bit nicer.
No, that's good to know. Okay, so it will happen anytime she uses Aiden a lot. She'll get a nosebleed or be fatigued.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it happens when you're a kid and like you're doing that first test with the cards. And if I really scared that woman, I think I set off her nose.
Okay, nice. That's great. After this, you've like done that, and Ryan ends up coming over to Jodie's house for dinner, and throughout the whole thing, you have Jodie like trying to set stuff up and potentially make a nice dinner. Aiden on the other side is like trying to disrupt things because he doesn't like Ryan and doesn't want him to come over. So it like starts with that Ryan tried to email Jodie to be like, hey, let's do a fancy dinner on Friday. And Aiden just breaks her computer so she doesn't see the email. And then, he's like causing chaos around the apartment. Like she tries to pick it up and then he like puts all the chairs on the table or like does kind of shit like that.
I was gonna say as well, like I found this whole, because it was a date, like it definitely felt like a date. I remember like obviously like while you're trying to get ready and order, like I think you have the option to like cook food, order pizza or something and like get ready. I found it really stressful because I think you've got a time limit and like I really wanted it to be good and like I wanted to get it all right, but it was so stressful to like tidy up and do everything. I was like, oh, this is almost stressful as a real date.
So how did your dates go? Like how did each of you like set them up? Like did you order pizza? Did you make something?
I think I just ordered pizza because I was like I couldn't get things ready and stuff. I can't quite remember exactly what I did in terms of like getting ready. I remember I did a lot, but I do remember finding out that like I think at one point Aiden rings the doorbell. And you can go in like check, and then apparently if you go outside, he like locks you out of the house. So you kind of like ruins your date because you can't get back inside, and you have to like use. I think she ends up using like her own power to like override Aiden and like make him open the door for you again.
I think I made myself look super fancy and tried to make the dinner. I can't remember what dinner it was. I think it went okay in the end, but it was just stressful. What about you? How did yours go?
I did pizza, and I also got locked out for a minute. Oh. Like Steph said, I got locked out for a minute, but I somehow got back in. And so I was like, stop it, Aiden. And then, like, I don't know. I went just kind of full casual because to me I was kind of like, this is an unexpected date. So, like, if he's going to be a dick about it, like... I don't want to date you anyway, kind of thing. That was how I kind of took it, because I was like, okay, like, we were going to have a fancy date, maybe, if I knew about it, but we didn't, so, like, let's just have a casual one, it'll be fine.
That's true. To be fair, like, it probably didn't look good on me. I went, like, full extra, and he probably turned up and was just like, what is this? You're in, like, a ball gown.
Can you ball gown on?
I don't know. I think it's like a nice dress. It's probably too fancy for that, to be honest.
Too fancy for your own house, yeah.
That's awesome.
Well, this is just what always I wear.
That's what I wear around the house.
This is my cleaning dress.
That's amazing. So ultimately, Ryan does show up. You have the date. Throughout this time, you have a lot of opportunities as Aiden to like ruin the date if you want. You have dinner. It's nice. It's going well. Then you can decide to kiss if you want, and then you can decide to head to the bedroom if you want. Also, at this point, I used Aiden to disrupt it. I was like, I don't know if we're dating this guy or not, so I'm not trying to like have sex with him. So I disrupted the date at that point. I had Jodie like kiss him, but then I was like, I don't know if I like this guy or not. Like, I'm not going there. So that was kind of how my date ended. Is Aiden like maybe shot something across the room when they headed to the bedroom, and then Ryan got scared and left.
What about you, Steph? What did you do?
I'm pretty sure I slept with him. I think I made my Jodie a bit of a hoe. But yeah, no, I think I slept with him. But I thought he was quite nice at this point, so
Yeah,
I think I might have regretted it a little bit afterwards. But what about you?
I did as well. I mean, I was pretty extra. I think it was expected.
Yeah, you had the dress on. You've got that hair.
But then I mean, we'll get to that in a bit. But I really like Ryan as a character, although I think he could be a bit of a dick. I generally liked him from the get-go, so I was like, yeah, why not? Why not? He seems nice.
Dress makes sense now.
No, yeah, totally makes sense. I think that I just wasn't sure what their relationship was, so I was like,
Yeah.
Is this like my work colleagues trying to get to know me more, or is it like we've been, like it's been good for a little bit and it would make sense to go there? Like I wasn't sure, so I just played it more.
I think it was smart of Jodie to do that as well, to play it safe and to not be too trusting, because of everyone that she's had in her life, like, you should be worried about people, I think.
Right. No, yeah. So our date resolves in different ways, and from here we have our like next CIA mission, and Ryan gives us orders to assassinate this warlord that's taken over this country. He says the CIA wants you to do this. You and Aiden are gonna go, tear it up. You're gonna make this happen. Try not to kill anyone on your way there. Like, we want it to be quiet, but we need to get rid of him. And so we're like, okay, cool. We'll do this. So we head down, and on our mission, I end up killing a lot of soldiers along the way. I just kind of disregarded Ryan's advice to not kill people, because there were a lot of soldiers around with guns, and so I ended up killing a lot of them with Aiden.
I don't think I did. I think for once I was actually good.
Yeah, I can't remember. I think I probably sort of killed a fair amount. From what I remember.
Okay. Yeah. No, that's great. On the way, she ends up meeting a child named Salim, and she uses Aiden to heal him. I'm not sure if he's a child soldier, if he was just a child with a gun, but he was injured in some manner, and so she uses Aiden to heal him, and he doesn't speak English at all, so you've got this sort of weird communication that's going back and forth of like, I can help you, but you can't, communicate in the same language. But what results is that he agrees to help you out. He's like, you're clearly good. You've helped me. Like, I can help you get to the warlord. I know how to get there. And so you have this kind of funny teammate for a little while of you and Salim making your way to the warlord.
It's kind of a cute, thing in a really horrible situation, having little Salim lead you around.
Yeah, I felt the same way. I was like, this kid's great. If anything happens to him, I'm going to be really mad.
Yeah.
He's the best already. So, good kid. You guys team up. You kind of sneak through the town. You ultimately make it to outside the warlord's barracks, where he's going to be at. And you tell Salim, hey, this is where you've got to go home. I can't have you be part of this anymore. It's going to get dangerous. We've been good partners, but here's where we part ways, kind of thing. And so then from here, Jodie uses Aiden to take over a soldier. And the soldier walks inside where the warlord is and just shoots everyone at the table, just like kills everyone, gets killed himself. And so from here, Jodie heads back inside of... She heads into where the barracks were, because everyone's dead there. She's going to get photographic proof that, hey, I did kill the warlord. We're good. She does. She takes the picture, but Salim shows up. And Salim's dad, I think, was maybe the soldier that she possessed. And it's really sad. Salim, of course, is heartbroken, and so are we, as we play.
Betrayed Salim.
Yeah. That felt really bad. Salim takes his gun and tries to shoot Jodie, but Aiden protects Jodie until Salim runs out of bullets, and you walk out and leave, and Salim is, sad. And from here, Jodie gets rescued by a helicopter. She gets up on top of a building nearby, and you've got everyone in the town comes out, and they're yelling at you. They want to kill you. Some people are actively trying to kill you. Other people are I don't know, more rioters of sorts. It gets real crazy. Helicopter comes though, and it gets you, and you see everyone kind of shaking their fist up at the helicopter as we leave, including Salim, and you're oh, I really blew this. This really sucks.
Yeah, like you said, it's just heartbreaking when you just realize that you've hurt Salim, and you're no, my buddy, I'm so sorry. You're okay, I understand that you want to kill me right now. That's fine.
Yeah, totally understood it. You're this sucks. This is a bad situation. So from here, you are on your helicopter, and you're talking with Ryan, and she finds out that it wasn't a warlord that she killed. Instead, it was a democratically elected president, and that Ryan had lied to her and said it was a warlord.
Yeah, I was pretty pissed off at this point.
Yeah,
I was regretting my date with Ryan.
Yeah. Yeah, this made me regret that a lot. I was okay, we're over. That's good.
Yeah, that made me really mad too. I was just one of those trusting the government. Why did I trust you? I felt really betrayed by him, and just being mad about that too. And Jodie jumps out of the plane to escape. She's I'm not working for the CIA anymore. If you come after me, I'm gonna kill you. I'll kill anyone who comes after me. So she just jumps out of the plane or the helicopter. I forget which one they were in, but just jumps out and uses Aiden as a force field essentially. So when she hits the ground, she's not hurt, and then just runs off.
Very badass.
Yeah, super badass.
I bet they really regret giving her CIA training now.
Yeah.
Oh no, what have we done?
Yeah, for real, they definitely have created someone way more powerful than they can deal with now. So from here, we have Jodie in what I guess I would call her post-CIA life. She's trying to leave her old life. She's really fucked up about killing this president that she didn't even know she was. She didn't know that she was gonna do something like that. And Salim, I think the whole thing has really wrecked her, understandably. And so she's just I'm getting away from that life. I'm just gonna figure it out on my own. And so we first got Jodie on a train trying to sleep, but Aiden keeps trying to wake her up. And she's I haven't slept in 3 days, leave me alone. But finally she does wake up, and he's trying to wake her up because the police are trying to capture her. Some police have got on the train. There's stops everywhere. The police are really intent on capturing her. And so she jumps off the train and again does her kind of similar move. She uses her sort of force field to break her fall and then run through the woods. And so you've got her kind of running through the woods trying to hide from cops and get out of there. This leads her to finding a road where there's a police motorcycle. So you possess the motorcycle cop to like shoot in the woods to distract the other cops, and then she steals the motorcycle and like heads off.
I have a feeling I didn't do very well at this bit. I think I got captured at one point, and you get just escape. Like you get put in the back of the police van, and then you just kind of like take over the driver and steal the keys and just get out the back, and then you kind of just get returned to kind of where you were and run to a motorcycle and get on, and it kind of continues from there. But yeah, I think I was in the woods or something, and I got caught.
Oh, cool.
I was not good at those QTEs at this point.
Yeah, there's so many in this game, the QTEs, and so sometimes you can, they can be tough at spots for sure. I think I failed some later where I just was like, it's not going well. Then Jodie gets her motorcycle. She heads into this town, and like a bunch of cops show up, and she just like fucks shit up. She goes like full power Aiden, like, you know, getting people to like crash their cars into buildings, getting people to like shoot each other. It's like insane.
I felt a bit bad at this point when I was doing this earlier today. Like, I feel like I didn't have to do what I was doing, but I felt like I did. Because you know when you see the option, you see the Iden blue dot, and you're like, okay, like let's do this, and like not fully knowing what you're going to do. And like I had a guy like kill like 3 people. I like exploded the helicopter and obviously killed loads of people, and I was like, actually this is not good. Like I'm not proud of this, and I didn't know if there was another way around it, or if you kind of do have to kill everyone.
I think I murdered
I killed everyone.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
I think we all
Maybe
murdered
you're supposed to.
this time.
Maybe you just have to. But yeah, I think I killed everyone. Like I did every blue dot and just like killed everyone and then left, which felt pretty bad. I was like, I don't know if these people necessarily deserve to get killed, but here we are.
Yeah. At this point, we've been through a lot with people, and we're just done with them. I think is fair.
Mm-hmm. From here, then, we get another fast forward, and Jodie's homeless, and it's gotten, I think it's winter now, because there's, like, snow and stuff like that, and she's, like, looking pretty rough. Like, she's clearly been on the run for quite a while at this point, and, like, is having a tough time, and she's on the street, and she just, like, passes out, and Aiden just like sees another homeless guy and basically makes enough noise that he sees Jodie and rescues her. And so Jodie wakes up and she's under a bridge with Stan, who is the guy who rescued her, along with 3 other homeless people. And they help her. He like nurses her back to health a bit, like giving her, I think, water and food, and she like sleeps there for a few days or something like that. Like she was clearly super exhausted.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Like you've gone, like, think about all the things that she's done from that point that seems like no break at all, like jumping out of a helicopter to get to that point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she's definitely had this is probably legitimately the first time she's been able to like sit down almost, like kind of thing. Like it seems like it's been insane for quite a while for her. So Stan ends up being like, hey, do you we need to get $5 to be able to like pay for a meal for all of us. Do you want to go beg with me to help get this money? And you say okay. You end up splitting up to be able to get money, or to be able to cover more ground. I think what I ultimately did was I just stole money from the ATM, so I did that. And
yeah, I can't remember what I did now. I'm trying to rack my brain. I think I might have do it another way, but I'm not sure how. I don't think I took it from the ATM.
Can you go to the shop across the road?
I think so.
I
also know that I played guitar, but I don't know if I was busking, but I definitely remember playing guitar.
I was going to say, I think that is something you can do. I didn't play guitar, but I saw it on a choice thing of, like, you can borrow someone's guitar and then make money that way.
Ah, that's what I did then. Yeah, because it was a good song.
Oh, nice.
Nice.
I think I did the same as you, Dan. I think I just went to the ATM.
Nice. Yeah, ultimately what happens though, unless you don't do any of these things, I think you can show up to Stan without money, which would feel sad. But I showed up with money.
Dan would be so disappointed, just so disappointed in us.
Yeah, I'd feel real bad because he's been so good. Like I would be like, sorry, I don't pull my weight. Like, but show up with money, and he's like pretty stoked, and so he goes to the grocery store to buy some food, and he's like, man, we're gonna like do great. I can't wait to get back to our crew under the bridge. And we're like, yeah, that sounds great. While he buys the groceries, and it tells us to just hang out across the street, so we're just kind of waiting for him. And across the street, Stan comes out, and this group of assholes start beating him up on camera.
Yeah, I hated watching this bit. I found it really hard. I didn't like it. I was like, Stan does not deserve this.
Yeah, not at all. Yeah, fuck those guys. They're among the worst in this game for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
So, yeah. So from here, Jodie goes across the street and starts beating them up and saves Stan. And this was pretty nice to be able to use Aiden to just fuck them up. That felt pretty satisfying to me.
Yeah, feels like the one time you're kind of using him for good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, totally agree. So you get to beat them up, and they ultimately run off afraid of you. And Stan's like, wow, how'd you take 4 guys? Kind of thing. And you're like, I'll tell you later. Let's go back to our friends. So you get back to your friends and get to kind of celebrate together, having money, being able to have food. You can talk to them about what's kind of going on, how did they become homeless, that sort of stuff. I told them the truth, that I had a power, and it seemed like they were responsive to it. I did the hold hand things with Stan, like I did with Dawkins, and he got to talk to his wife.
Yeah, I did the same. I just kind of trusted them. They just seemed like really nice people, and yeah, I think it was the right decision.
Yeah, that's how I felt too. Is like they seem good, like especially that he chose to do good to you just because he had the opportunity was there. Like he could have just left you on the street or whatever, but he didn't. And so I was like, you guys are good people. Like I feel like I can share this with you, and it's not going to be like used against me or whatever.
Yeah, they're kind of like her first proper friends, it feels like, as well. Like everyone else has kind of been there for like using even like Ryan a little bit as well. Yeah. These are like the first guys are actually just nice to her, despite like not even knowing that she's got like Aiden or anything.
Yeah. That's a great point. Totally true. So a little while after talking to them, one of the people is a woman named Tuesday who's pregnant, and she starts having contractions. So the team, Stan gets the team into action, so he sends one of the guys down to an abandoned building down the street so that she could give birth there, make sure that's good. Us and Stan go to the grocery store to be able to get supplies to be able to have the birth go well. So we break into the store and just steal the stuff we need. Ultimately, when we make it to the building and deliver the baby, Jodie ends up being the one who does this, coaches her through it and helps deliver the baby. It's pretty crazy. It's all good. She calls the other guys back in, and it's a good moment for their group of, wow, the baby got delivered. We pulled this crazy thing off, and I don't know, being a family's working out for us, kind of thing.
It's a cute moment, for everybody.
Yeah, it's nice. So their moment's great, and so they decide, hey, let's just crash here tonight. We'll sleep here, and we'll head back to the bridge tomorrow. And so while they're sleeping, the building catches on fire, and you have to save everyone on your way out. So you can knock open different doors that have people stuck behind them, and then they'll be able to escape. So I rescued everyone, but I failed some QTEs on my way out, so I passed out, and Stan ended up having to save me, and he got me out of the fire.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, I know that there is like an option to obviously like not save everyone. I think there is definitely like you can definitely let people die. Obviously, I don't know why you do that, but I just read that there is. I think I saved everyone and got out okay, but I didn't realise that you could possibly. I don't think anyway. I'm not 100% sure, but
Yeah, I think it's Stan that can die. Like, so I think you can miss saving him,
Ooh.
which would be heartbreaking.
I thought Tuesday and the baby as well, but I'm not 100% sure.
Oh, I'm not sure. Yeah, I just knew about Stan.
That would be heartbreaking to have him go.
Yeah,
he's the best. And I guess what happens, I don't know if this happened for you, but so for me, I passed out, so Stan like carries me out, and then I end up being in like a coma and have to go to the hospital. But I guess what happens is what I read was if you make it out yourself, then those assholes from earlier come and fight you.
Oh wow, yeah.
I don't know
that
if that
seems familiar.
To you or not.
That seems very familiar to me. It's been a while since I've done like a full playthrough of it, but that definitely seems like that could have been my option, to be honest. And I think maybe they fuck you up, and then is that how you get in the hospital potentially?
I think that, yeah, that's what I was reading, is it seems like if you don't make it out yourself, you end up in the hospital anyway, because they were the ones who started the fire and they beat you up.
Right.
Which, again, further, they're fucking assholes. Like,
just the worst people.
Yeah, legitimately, like, even some, like, we've met a lot of bad people along the way. This seems a bit worse. Like, you're just, like, beating up and trying to kill homeless people. Like, fuck you.
Yeah. It's a good point, actually. We've met a lot of people that are just assholes, and you somehow come top of the list. Congratulations.
Right, yeah. Like, what pieces of shit. So, from here, you are in a coma, and you are in the hospital, and you wake up, and the CIA is coming to get you. Aiden, like, wakes you up, and you escape from the hospital before the CIA can get you. So, back on the run again. A little while later, after your escape from the hospital, Jodie's, like, walking down the street, just in, like, shock. Like, she's not doing well. And a police officer sees her walking on the road and picks her up. And is like, are you okay? And she takes you, or the police officer takes you to the police office, and he's like trying to question you, and you aren't answering anything. And this is actually where the game, when you start playing it, starts, is in this situation.
Yeah, I was going to say, because I remember this is like you start in the police department talking to that policeman.
Mm-hmm.
Right at the start of the game.
Yeah. And from here, you are talking to him. A little while later, you see like a SWAT team starting to sneak in with the CIA. And then you get a cut forward of Dawkins arriving at that police station, and it's like blown the fuck up. And Jodie had obviously used Aiden and like just exploded on them and escaped. So it's like pretty wild. You're like, I don't know what happened. And as for like a first scene to start the game, how you actually play it, it was a pretty cool draw of like, okay, what's wrong with her and what happened? Like it does set you in motion. I think is a good hook to start the game. So from here, we get another little fast forward, and Jodie's walking through the desert, and she stumbles upon a ranch of this Navajo family, and like asked if she can like stay the night. Can I stay here? They ultimately say yes, and they're like, yeah, you can stay here. Like that's fine. You can stay here for a day, kind of thing. And so she has dinner with them. It's there's Paul, who is the dad, and then you've got Jay and Corey, who are the two sons. Jay's the older one, who was mistrusting of Jodie when she showed up, and then Corey, who's younger, and seems pretty friendly, and then Shimasani, who is Paul's mom, and she hasn't spoke in like 20 years or something, and she's like very old. And so you kind of get introduced to them. They seem nice. Paul's especially nice. Like he's really welcoming from the start. And you start having dinner with them, and then there's a point where you start hearing kind of scary sounds outside, where it's like a sort of like a wind, like the like everything's sort of shaking. It's windy. It sounds kind of creepy, and they say, "Hey."
Yeah, I was gonna say, I thought they did this part like really well. I genuinely was quite freaked out at the time.
Yeah, I definitely like. I think this is one of my favorite bits of the game, actually, when you're the Navajo bit chapter. I don't know what it is, but like you said, they just did that bit really well. It's quite creepy, but also like you're kind of used to creepy stuff, and you can't quite work out what it is, like whether it's something to do with you or them or.
Yeah, I agree. I think this was my favorite part also. I think that they really landed this, and it was really cool. I think this was maybe one of the best parts of the game for sure.
Yeah, agreed.
The family's cool as well.
Yeah, they're all really cool. And so, you know, the scariness starts happening, and so Jay takes Jodie to her room and locks her inside and says, "Don't come out no matter what until morning." And so you're like, all right, this is fucking creepy. So you like hear the stuff outside, and you can use Aiden to kind of explore around or like go outside yourself, which I didn't do that because I was like, if they're saying this is serious, like I'm not gonna disrespect them. Like I'm their guest or whatever, and like they've been nothing but cool so far, so yeah, I'm gonna like trust them.
I think I did the same, although I was a bit like, I don't really want to trust them because I haven't trusted anybody in this game. Yeah, really, true. Like it's difficult. But yeah, I don't think I did.
Nice. Yeah. Yeah. So from here, you end up after this, you come out the next morning, and you try to ask about it a little bit, but they're pretty like, oh well, you know, it's just the desert, like that kind of thing. Like they're not really trying to share their secrets at this point. But they like her enough that Paul invites her to work on the ranch and is like, hey, you know, if you'd like to help us out with different things on the ranch, and like that'd be really cool. We can't like pay you, but you could live here and we'll feed you and stuff. And you know, Jodie's like, yeah, sure, that's great. Like, you know, it sounds perfect. Part of me was like, if the game just became this forever, I would be totally okay with that. Like,
yeah, this is Jodie's life from now on. This sounds lovely.
I'm totally fine.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it sounds great.
I think as well, you end up just being worried. You're like, oh, but I'm really happy here, and I know this isn't the end of the game, so I really hope nothing happens to these guys or this ranch.
Mm-hmm. No, totally. I was like, if I'm happy, that means that, like, not for long, probably.
Yeah, it's all going to go terribly wrong in a minute.
Mm-hmm. And so while she's there, she helps out. It's pretty good. She ends up doing a little bit of exploring and finds out that there is this entity called Yitzo that was summoned by their ancestors to stop these soldiers that had invaded back then. And so she figures this out because she goes to like an abandoned fort that's sort of nearby and kind of pulls up different artifacts and then can kind of see memories associated to them. Which is pretty wild, like a kind of wild backstory of kind of what's going on.
Yeah, I enjoyed that they sort of like started looking into this a lot more. It's almost just like a little side thing. I quite enjoyed it. Obviously, it wasn't like necessarily to do with like Aiden all the time. I just thought it was just a really interesting little backstory to the sort of their lives and their culture and everything.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's why I really like this section, is because it just does something just like a little bit different for a while. You're just kind of looking into something else.
Yeah, no, totally. It was cool. It was like totally agree. And so she figures that out, and after she figures that out, she heads back to the ranch, but Yitzo has actually attacked during the day, which is not normally what it does. The little info she did get from them was that it only comes at night, and it might come for, you know, a couple weeks straight and then be gone for, you know, a few months and then we'll come back kind of thing. Like, it's not always there, but when it is, it's scary, but it only ever does stuff at night. But today, it's gotten bolder. It actually attacks during the day, and it injures Paul. It, like, stabs him in the stomach area. And so she heads into the house with them. I had her heal Paul. I don't know if that's what you guys did too.
Yeah, I think I did that too.
Yeah. So heal Paul, that's good. And then you head back outside, and she ends up talking with Shimasani, and like Shimasani wakes up almost and is like, I know the ritual. It is Yitzo. You're right. I can help you stop him. I know like the ritual. And so you go outside, and Corey and Jay are like trying to board up the house. Like they're like just practically trying to fix it. And we're like, hey, I know this is crazy, but I know how to stop Yitzu. Me and Shimasani will do it. And Shimasani talks, and they're like, you talk? Like they, it was the first time they'd ever heard her speak.
You've been able to talk this whole time?
Been miming at you like idiots forever.
So it's pretty crazy. And so Shimasani knows the words of the ritual, but because we could use our Aiden senses, we actually were able to see how the ritual was performed. So we could like set people up in the order that they're supposed to be in.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're like, hey guys, you've got to trust us, like do this. So you've got Shimasani, Corey, Jay, and us, and we're like, oh no, we're a person short. But then Aiden takes that spot, and that allows us to perform the ritual. We open this like rift, and then get Yitzu to go through it, and then close the rift, and Yitzu is no longer there. Which was pretty wild, like, is pretty nuts of a thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I guess it's the first time we've seen that kind of stuff, like with the rifts and things, really. Like, would it be? I don't remember seeing a rift stuff beforehand.
Yeah, I don't think so either. Like, at least the first time that we've, like, seen it for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's pretty wild. Ultimately, unfortunately, Shimasani dies in the process. Like, it just took too much out of her. And she dies. And so the next day we have a funeral for her. And they, like, take us to the ancient burial ground. Because they're like, you've helped us a lot. She's accepted as family, really, at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And while she's there, she sees this drawing on the wall of someone who is connected to a spirit in a cave. So at least one of their ancestors was probably someone like her, who had this spirit that they were also connected to, which I like this because it suddenly felt like, oh man, there's like a bigger world kind of thing. Like it felt almost like X-Files-y to me, where you're like, oh shit, there's more.
Yeah, like maybe there's a certain amount of people that also have this power. Like she's not alone, I guess. It's quite a nice feeling for her.
Yeah, definitely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was pretty cool. Like, because from this point, it's basically been Jodie's the only one who has any of this, and like you interact with entities along the way, but it feels more like they're I don't know, separate, not related to people, but just sort of like, I don't know, demons or something that are going through the air. Almost.
Yeah.
So
No,
this was pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah. So this is like a big moment for Jodie because she says, I can use Aiden for good. That it's not, it doesn't have to be this thing that's been bad. Every time I've used him, it's been for bad. People have manipulated me, that sort of thing. But maybe I can do good things. It seems like I got to do a good thing here. Maybe people in the past did good things with having someone like Aiden. Maybe things can be different. And so she kind of has kind of a new look on life and is like, maybe I can impact the world positively.
Yeah, it's not all about smashing anymore.
Exactly. So she kind of has this renewed vision, and the family says, hey, we fixed up this motorcycle for you. Like, you could stay here as long as we want. We love you. It'd be great. But you could take this motorcycle and go and do what you have to if you've got to. And we're like, that sounds great, but maybe I will come back, but I really appreciate like what you've done for me. And it's a nice goodbye, I would say.
Yeah, you kind of, like you said, it's kind of like a happy ending, even though, like, you do, like, who dies, like, at least it's kind of like she was an old lady and she did something to kind of do it, and she was kind of came back a little bit for the first time. It just feels like the happiest section of this game so far.
It's like bittersweet.
Definitely.
Yeah, totally. So that feels pretty good, and it's like, okay, where are we going from here? So Jodie heads back to kind of resolve things, to use her power for good, and so she meets up with Cole, and she ends up asking about her mother, and her birth mother, and Cole says that she's actually been at this psychiatric hospital since Jodie was born, that her name was Nora Gray. But otherwise, I don't really know much more about her, kind of thing. Like, and so we say, well, we want to meet her, and Cole agrees to help us sneak in to do that.
Yeah, I was like super intrigued by this point. Like when it started talking about the mother, I was thinking, oh, like who is she? Like, has she got the same kind of thing? I was like super into this when this was happening. I was like, I'm ready to find some shit out.
It also like makes sense why your original parents were like a bit shit, and just kind of like why the dad was just super not into having you, because it's like, well, it's not actually his child, like she was adopted.
Yeah, and even the vibe that maybe not like forced adoption exactly, but kind of like, it seems like maybe the CIA was like, hey, you guys have a kid now.
Yeah.
And
you guys want kids, right? Here you go. Have this one.
Yeah. So, it's suddenly, kind of questionable. So she does make it to the facility. Also along the way, Cole tells her that her parents were a part of a different experiment before, and that her dad died like before she was born, but that they both were a part of a CIA experiment before this. So it does add some intrigue there too. She makes it to the facility, and she goes to her mother, and her mother's heavily drugged, like not really there, physically there, but that's like about it. So she uses Aiden to speak with her and like goes into her mind, and her mom is clearly like not in a good place, and I don't know, tries to be kind, I think, but it's just kind of a messy situation.
Yeah, it was really sad. I played through this chapter earlier, and it definitely gave me Stranger Things vibes, because I think it's like a similar way, in the way that they basically they've drugged her to keep her silent. I think effectively they've put her in this sort of state because maybe she's too dangerous, or that's just how they want her. So it's so corrupt, and you end up just feeling, I think, really bad for Nora, because you're like, you've had, a kid, and now you're in this sort of situation, and it's so sad for Jodie, I think, as well, to see her like that. It's just an incredibly sad moment and scene.
Yeah, totally agree. It's just sad to see. You're like, this sucks that this happened to you, and that, this is what's here. It's rough. And for Jodie to find out she had, like, about her birth mother for the first time, and this is what it is. Like, it's just all around shitty.
Yeah, and she can't really talk to her at all, because she's just not there, really.
Yeah. So she talks with her, and then leaves, and unfortunately the CIA is out there. They've captured you and Cole.
Damn CIA.
Yes. You also get the option, right, to keep her alive or kill her, if that's correct.
Ooh, yes. You're right.
I was wondering what you guys did, actually, because I know that basically, I think she tells you that she is sort of stuck in this situation. She can't get out. Like, there's no way that she's going to be able to come out of this drugged-induced coma, effectively, or state, and she doesn't want to be there anymore. And so I think you have the option to leave her in that state, or like end her life through Aiden. And I think I ended her life because I felt really bad for her, because she was like suffering, obviously, in her mind. What did you guys do, if you remember?
I think I did the same. I think I killed her, like you said, because she kind of pleads with you, like, I'm not really in my brain, and you're one of the only people that obviously can do it. Like, everyone else can't talk to me. I can't talk anymore. So how about you, Dan?
I left her alive, but I don't think I understood the situation. And so afterwards I was like, oh, I probably should have killed her. Like,
I mean, it's a big decision.
Like, I didn't want to.
Fine.
No, yeah, I think I just didn't, like, I think I didn't understand that she was stuck in it forever. And so I was like, well, maybe we'll get out of this and it'll be okay. But after I didn't do it, I was like, oh, I think I did the wrong thing. Like, this seems really shitty, and you shouldn't be stuck in that state. Like, and you don't want to. Like, you actually told me that. So I think I made the wrong choice on accident.
That's all right.
But
it's quite like intense decision in these games a lot of the time that you're like trying to make quickly.
It's hard to know what the right decision is, because you're right, like maybe there could have been a way in the future that you maybe can save her, and I didn't really think about that, and I'm like, but yeah, there could be potentially. I mean, she says that there's not, but you know, you don't know. So obviously once you make that decision, there's no going back. So it's definitely, they definitely give you a horrible choice there.
Oh yeah, definitely a challenging one. And as mentioned, like, yeah, this game is full of hard choices throughout. Like, I think probably every chapter has at least 4 choices, if not like up to 8. And some of them are pretty insignificant, but other ones are like pretty heavy and can really impact your relationships, or if someone's alive, or like different stuff like that. Like, some of it's pretty crazy.
Yeah, and do I remember that like it's technically Cole who calls the CIA on you, or like something like that? Because I feel like he apologizes to you as you get like knocked out.
I don't know.
But I don't know, like, not in, like, an evil way. I think he just does it because he's like, I have to, and Cole tends to follow the rules a lot. But...
Oh, I do remember him saying sorry, but I took it as, like, sorry we got caught.
Oh.
That's how I took it, but if he did, that, you know, I could see it. Like, you're right, he does follow the rules, and, like, maybe would feel sort of work-wise obligated to do that.
Yeah.
Maybe he thinks she'll be safer as well. I'm not sure. Like, I feel like he does it for the right reasons, but... Yeah, maybe he just took it a different way. I'm not sure.
No, that's because I guess that your logic probably is right, because he's not in trouble later. Like, he still works there. I guess if he did something illegal, he'd probably be in trouble.
Yeah. That's a good point, actually. Like, you let her find this out, and just let her go.
Yeah, it seems like he'd be in trouble if he did something that extra bad. So I bet you're right. I bet he thought it was the right thing to do, like trying to be good, but it still sort of sucks.
Yeah, definitely.
But from here, the CIA gives Jodie kind of a final offer type deal, and they say, hey, guess what? We will let you go. We'll forget everything. We'll be done. But you need to go destroy this condenser that this rival nation has, because someone else has figured out how to get to the Infraworld. We can't have that. We want that to be an American thing only. So if you ruin that for them, you'll be good. We'll part ways, and we won't bug you anymore, and it's all good, kind of thing. So we agree, because it's sort of a no-win situation. It's sort of, we get this one chance at making it out, or I don't know, we probably end up like our mom and just like drugged out.
Mm-hmm.
So Jodie ends up going to find this base, and she's with Ryan, and then 2 of the guys from the CIA training are with her too, as her like team to kind of infiltrate this base. They ultimately find the base, and inside the base is like a secret submarine hatch that goes underwater to the actual base where the condenser is. And so us and Ryan sneak down there with the submarine to go infiltrate the actual base. And while we're down there, we get captured. It doesn't go well. And the general tries to force us to talk and tell us like who we are, why we're there, that sort of thing. And so he has both us and Ryan like chained up and had been clearly like torturing us. And so his method now is he'll torture Ryan in hopes that we'll give up information.
Yeah, and his eye specifically, I remember at this point,
yes,
can go. And
I was going to say, get it cut out, right?
I think, yeah, my first ever playthrough, I think I messed this up, and I was like, oh, it's fine, like, I'll just, I'll hold off, and yeah, he definitely lost his eyeball in my playthrough.
Oh, God.
Same. I didn't tell either, so his eye
Yeah.
got cut out.
Oh,
I
I
was
did.
still kind of angry at him, like for the whole warlord
yeah.
thing.
I think that's fair. I think I was like, I don't really care about Ryan because he's a bit of a shit, but I think I did actually save his eye because I was like, I'll be good. But yeah, that's fair. I think now if I played it again, I probably would just let it get cut out.
Yeah, I think I let it get cut out because I was thinking, like, we're in the CIA, we're not supposed to tell no matter what, so I'm not going to. Even if it's, like, I don't want Ryan to get his eye cut out, but, like, sorry.
Yeah, that's a good point. Did all that training. Should probably use it.
Yeah, that was kind of how I, like, thought about it, but I did feel bad that it happened. Also, in this same time, Aiden is actually separated from you by this, like, shield that's inside the base. So there's, the way the base is set up is that there's almost like these little force fields that kind of keep entities into one section of the base. And so Aiden can't go through it to rescue Jodie and Ryan because they're on the other side of it. So he has to kind of just come up with chaos on his own. So he, like, takes over various soldiers, like, kills some of them, turns off the power. Like, it's a little bit of a process for him to be able to pull this off, but he ultimately disables the shield and makes it in to be able to save Jodie and Ryan. But also at this time, the base begins to flood with other entities. I think that was part of putting the shield down, is the entities have now free reign on the base. So the entities are just, like, fucking shit up, and it's a lot of chaos going on the base.
Which is kind of nice because you're like, well, this is what you get for bringing all these entities onto your base. Like, what did you expect to happen, really? It's a bit heartless, but...
Yeah, I felt the same way. It's like, if you want to, like, mess with this stuff, like, it's kind of your fault if they end up killing you.
Yeah. And our whole, like, our whole mission was to take down the base, so it's kind of like a good way of doing that, I guess.
Mm-hmm. So Jodie from here splits up from Ryan. Ryan, like, heads back to the sub, and Jodie's gonna go blow the rift up and get this done. So she puts explosives down there. It's, like, getting ready to blow. She has, like, a mini boss fight with the general, who she ultimately kills. And she heads out to escape. Ryan shows up with the sub, and they make it out. However, on their way out, the blast happens, and it, like, fucks the sub up. So they have to, like, get out of the sub and then swim their way to the top. And they get to shore, and they're sitting... it's like snowy this whole time. It's like a really wintry climate. And so they're on the side of the lake, both, like, freezing in the snow. And they think they're gonna die, probably. Like, it seems like the game could really end right here and we could just freeze to death. Like,
yeah, to be honest, like, they should have, like, froze to death while they were in the water. Like, realistically, like, they swam quite a long way in, like, sub-zero, like, waters, and then getting out and being wet in, like, sub-zero temperatures. Like, I don't quite know how they're still alive at this point.
No, yeah, I was like, they have to die here, right? Like, maybe, like, I wasn't sure the game would do it, but, like, playing it, I was like, you probably can't be outside that long. Like, I would think it would be, like, seconds or maybe a few minutes, maybe.
Especially not in that kind of cold, as well as being wet and from cold water. Like, it's not going to go well.
Right. So they think they're going to die. And so Ryan takes this opportunity to say, I've always loved you. Like, I've always cared about you. And you're the best, kind of thing. I'm sorry we're going to die here. And you have the option to say, yeah, me too. Or you can say, cool, thanks. And kind of say, not me. Which is what I did. I was like, cool, I don't feel that way.
Yeah,
I think I did the same at that point. I was just like, yeah, we had a chance.
Me. Okay, I really like Ryan. So yeah, I was like, yep, cool, and I was into it.
Okay, so you said I love you back too.
Yeah,
nice. Yeah, I thought about saying it because I was like, well, if we die here, like, I didn't want to, like, lie to him, And so I was worried if we were alive after this, I didn't want to like live with that. But part of me thought, if we are going to die here, maybe I'll say it so you don't have to die feeling sad, because it felt kind of mean to reject him if like, we're going to die in like 3 minutes, but yeah, I don't love you either. Like, just so you know.
That is a bit sad.
Yeah.
It's true, actually. Although it's confusing because it's like, I wanted to forgive him, but I didn't want him to like, also didn't like him anymore in that way. I was like, it's okay, but also no. So I was like, okay, I'll just refuse, and then he can just let you. But now I feel really bad about it. He's just gonna die, thinking I hate him. I want to buy him cologne.
Me too. I did wish for that. Like, I feel like I could have forgave him. Like, we've gone through a lot. I could say I forgive you, but it's like, I don't want to date you anymore, though. We've gone through a lot. Like,
Yeah.
No thanks for that. But, so, yeah, there's a brief moment where you're like, okay, are we going to die? But we don't. We end up getting rescued by our other team members, and Jodie's back at the CIA. And she's hearing this briefing from the general, and he's like, we've figured out the Infraworld so well that we're going to be able to attach entities and soldiers at will. This is going to be like the next stage of warfare. We're going to solve it. And so Jodie is like, fuck, like, what did I get into? Like, I made this thing way worse. Like, maybe if everyone had entities, maybe no one would use them, but if we just have them, we're just going to, like, fuck people up with them, it seems.
Yeah, and you just come from a base where that has happened, so you're like, I don't want this to happen again, guys, come on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, not a good scene. So she's kind of like, okay, I'm just going to get out of here. I don't want to deal with this anymore. So she speaks with Dawkins, who is pretty happy to see her. He's pretty kind. And he gives her $500K and a passport and says, you can go start your new life. CIA is holding up its end of the bargain. Like, good luck. I hope that, like, your life is better after this. And it seems like a decent goodbye. You're, like, feeling all right at this point. But then he says that he's been studying the Infraworld ever since he's met her, and ever since that night when she got his family to speak to him. He's been interested in it, and he hopes that he can see his family again. He ends up showing her the secret room in his office, and you see two spirits inside the chamber that are his wife and daughter, and they've been in there. And seeing it immediately, I'm like, ugh, like, this isn't good.
Yeah, you've gone the wrong way with this.
Yeah, it's not good. And so he asks Jodie to speak to them for him. Like, could you do that again? And I don't know if you have to. I did. Did you both have them speak to him also?
I did, yeah.
Yeah, I did too.
Okay. Yeah. So you have them speak to him, and they say, please let us go. You're hurting us. Like, being trapped between two worlds isn't good, essentially. And that you're, like, tearing our soul apart almost. And it's pretty sad hearing it. Like, I felt bad hearing that. I'm like, oh.
Yeah.
It's
quite uncomfortable, I think, to see.
Mm-hmm. And he's like, no, you're lying. This isn't real. You're wrong, Jodie. Like, you've always been a liar. Like, he just can't accept it. So he just, like, starts attacking her character and stuff. Like,
yeah. Like, I think you can tell that he's definitely hit rock bottom at that point. And although I think he is generally a nice guy, like, you can just see that he is so torn by kind of wanting his family back, but isn't realizing that he's, like, just not doing a good thing.
Yeah, he's gone a little off the deep end.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that his, like, search for this has, like, corrupted or ruined him, kind of. Like, because before all of this, he seemed to be a pretty good person. But then in that time that we've been in the CIA and stuff, it seems like he's just been, I don't know, so devoted to figuring this out that, like, he's become a little bit crazy or something.
Yeah.
So from here we say, like, we end up leaving and we're just like, well, I hope you find the peace you're looking for, but, like, you should just let them go. So you try to give him good advice on your way out, but it's kind of sad seeing a relationship that was one of the few ones that have been good, I would say, before this, to be kind of messy now.
Yeah, it is definitely sad.
Yeah. So from here, we start to leave, but we get captured by the CIA. And they say, you're just like your mom. We can't kill you, but we can't keep you alive. So we're going to do the same thing to you. We're just going to drug you up and you're going to live like your mom did forever. Kind of thing, which...
Yeah.
Those fuckers.
Yeah, that was not very nice at this point. I was just like, oh.
Yeah, you kind of realised what they did. Like, it wasn't just that she had, been damaged by the experiments. Like, they did it on purpose kind of thing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And so from here, she gets, like, strapped into, like, a chair thing and is kind of thrown off to the side. And Dawkins comes and visits her in that spot, and he says, Jodie, you were actually right. We can't, have people from the Infraworld and our world be, trying to be in both. It's not good for them. So I'm going to make them the same. I'm going to bring the Infraworld here. So you're like, oh no, you're like, full lost it.
That is not what we wanted, Dawkins.
Yeah.
The opposite of everything.
Yeah, you did not understand. So he heads off to cause chaos. Meanwhile, Aiden finds Cole and Ryan and ends up kind of using them to rescue Jodie. So he, like, leads them to where she'll be and, like, possesses, like, security guards along the way, different things they need to be able to make it to Jodie. And they rescue Jodie, and Jodie says, we need to go close the rift. Dawkins has gone inside. He's going to open it. He wants the Infraworld and this world to be the same. We can't let that happen. And they're like, okay, yeah, we'll do it. So they head that way, and along the way, Cole gets hurt. One of the entities, like, injures him, and Jodie and Ryan manage to save him to get him into a chamber away from the entities. Aiden heals him a little bit, and then Ryan and Jodie continue on with Aiden to close the Infraworld.
Is it possible to not save Cole? Is there an option where, like, maybe... I think I saved him, but I think maybe there's probably... Because all people who get injured, I think, can die, I guess.
I know there is an option. I know there is an option for everybody to die, but I think those decisions are made way back when. So I think at this point, I don't know, but I'm glad that he didn't end my playthrough.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Maybe you could have left him, like, where you grab him to bring him to that spot. But I didn't leave him though. I love Cole, so it's like I'm definitely gonna save you.
It's like straight away.
Mm-hmm. So you and Ryan then head inside of the condenser itself, and while you're inside there, you end up getting separated. And while you're separated, you come across Dawkins, who is like, Jodie, you were right, like, I made a big mistake. I can't bring the Infraworld and our world together. Like, this was really bad.
I love that Dawkins always realizes this is way too late. He's like, Jodie, I get it now. Like, you were right, but he's always fucked something before this point, and you're like, for God's sake.
He kind of says this while everything's on fire, like, behind him. Like, guys, I messed up.
Right.
Messed up again.
Mm-hmm. So he says he messed up again. For me, what he ends up doing is he shoots himself.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I had the same thing.
And then he shoots himself, and he becomes a spirit also, and then he joins his family as a spirit. And before he leaves with them, he says, Jodie, close it. Like, you can solve this. I believe in you, kind of thing. Yeah,
which is a bit shitty. Like, I've made this mess, guys. But peace out. You deal with it.
It's true. Like, I feel like when he becomes a spirit, he kind of he becomes like his normal self for a second, and you're like, okay, you're like the good kind of Dawkins, but up until that point, you're like, you are just not helping anything right now.
Yeah,
no, exactly. It was like the glimpse of the old Dawkins, kind of, once he was a spirit again. You were like, this is what you were like before you, like, your mind got corrupted or whatever, almost.
Yeah, like, he definitely needed to go be with his family, but, like, he could have just done that after he'd sorted everything out, right?
Yeah, it's true.
Right. Yeah. I guess what can happen here, too, I was reading, is, I guess if maybe how your relationship with Dawkins is different, he'll try to shoot you.
Oh.
And either Aiden will protect you or Ryan will like jump in front and get shot or something. So it sounds like it can be kind of crazy. Like
yeah, that is crazy.
But it seems like we all had a similar relationship with him, so we all got the same kind of deal. But so from here you end up meeting back up with Ryan though, and start moving towards the rift. And when you're moving towards the rift, you start going through some of the past memories that have happened in the game thus far, of like big moments or traumatic moments. And what you find out is that Aiden was her twin, but had died during birth. And that's why you're tethered, so to speak. And while you're in this, her and Aiden become separate. And she has a part where she sees him as like a person across from her who's her age, and then he kind of like fades away.
This bit really weirded me out because like you're in like a field and he's in front of you, and for a second I was like, oh my god, like we're gonna see him, like this is crazy. You don't really fully see him, but the part that weirded me out was the fact that he's like naked.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I guess he just kind of never had clothes.
I know, and then it's just weird because like you see him for like a second before he fades away, and he's like a Ken doll. And I just found it weird. I don't know if you guys remember that or not.
I do, because he's kind of a bit sparkly, right? Like he's not quite fully like a person. I also remember feeling like he was really tall compared to her.
Really tall.
And I was like, well, monster. That's not like... I remember being really weirded about that. I was like, well, she's tiny. Like, surely he's a twin. Like, at least they would be maybe the same height. I don't know.
That's funny. Yeah, it's definitely strange, for sure. You're like, this is a pretty weird scene going on. And in this, you end up having the option to end the game here. You can die and live with Aiden. That you'll just get to go to the spirit world now and just die here. Or you can choose to live without him, that you choose life and go that route. And this is, I would say, the most, like, through the whole game there's a lot of decisions, but this is one of the ones where it's like, left side of the screen, choose this. Right side of the screen, choose that. Like, it's very there. You can't unintentionally make this decision or whatever. So... I chose life. I chose to live. Did you choose to be with Aiden, or did you choose life also?
I chose Aiden. I chose to go to the beyond.
Did you?
Cool.
Yeah, I was just like, I feel like this is kind of the right thing for her. Mostly because life hadn't been great before this. So I think I was just like, yeah, she closes it. She's just gonna go be with all the people.
It's so sad though. Like I watched that part, like to go to the beyond. And I found it just really heartbreaking. So I'm quite shocked you did that. I chose life.
Okay, I mean, you need to be reunited with your love, so
it's true. My one-eyed love.
Your one-eyed love.
That's great. I chose life as well. So how does it work then, choosing beyond? What did that look like for you, Steph?
It's quite cool. You go, it kind of takes you into this bluey type of thing, and it's just like a voiceover of Jodie just kind of talking about like her decision and what it's like to be there. She's kind of saying it's very serene, and that it's kind of like she feels kind of like what it's like to be Aiden when you just kind of know everything exists and stuff. And she says like you see clips of like all the people that you kind of know. So she goes to visit Ryan, like she looks down on Ryan and Cole and like the homeless guys and see how they're doing, like their little group. Cool. And you just kind of like visit everyone. It's quite sad when you see Ryan because he's just sat crying about it. But like you go see Cole and it's quite cute. Like you move his papers on his desk and he kind of realizes that you're there, and like you write something on his computer screen and stuff. So you're just kind of like, he's quite happy. He's like, oh, this is so cool that he's in his office.
It's quite sweet.
The only like weird bit, I guess, is seeing the other girl at the end. Which I swear, like I don't remember this other girl when I first played it, and then I was kind of working it through and I was trying to work out who she was. She's like another Jodie type thing.
So this is a bit different. depending on all our endings, that particular part. I know you're probably going to mention it, Dan, for that person I think Steph's referring to.
Okay, I think I might know what it's about too. So cool. So you can choose to end the game here, go beyond route like Steph did, or you can choose to live. So I chose to live, and Nikki chose to live. So what happens here is Jodie is journaling about what's kind of going on, and that being separate from Aiden is really messing up her memories. That she's losing a lot of them because, you know, they were together, but now being separate, it's kind of messed stuff up. So she's kind of writing stuff down so they don't forget it, kind of thing. She's gone to live on her own. So from here, you get four main choices of how your ending can go. You can choose to go back to Ryan. You can choose to go back to Jay, who was on the Navajo Ranch. Or you can choose to go back to the homeless friends to be with them. Or you can choose to go at it alone. For me, I chose to go at it alone. I was like, it just hasn't really worked out with any of these people that well. Overly, like, I think I've got to figure out life on my own kind of thing. So I ended up choosing to do that. And there's a point where you're in a hotel room and Aiden, like, messes with the TV and then says, I'm still here. So she gets kind of a reassurance of that. And then it seems she's heading off to find other entities and maybe fight the bad ones. And it kind of just leaves there.
I have to say, like, I watched this ending when I was looking at stuff, and I think this is probably my favorite. Like, I did like my ending, but I liked this one where she just kind of goes off and tries to find more entity stuff, and Aiden still kind of visits her, so she's not, like, super alone. It's just quite a nice one. I quite like this one.
And
then Nikki's was yours to go to Ryan then?
Yep, yeah. So I was in my cabin in the woods, and I was obviously doing like the journaling and everything, and obviously then decided to go for Ryan. And you just kind of turn up to his house, and he like gets home, and like he sees you, and like he drops the groceries, and there's this very like Hollywood moment where you kind of like run into each other's arms, and then like the next second you're on a boat. You're both like living the high life on this like speedboat,
fancy.
And which is lovely. And then you end up on like a desert island together. Then you are just like rolling around in the sand together, which is a bit intense. And you go sit by yourself by the water, and you notice like there's like a coconut next to you, and it starts moving. And then Aiden like writes in the sand like still here, which I find weird because I'm like, you know, just been rolling around with Ryan, and you're there just like, hey, was here the whole time.
Yeah, you also know that like Aiden doesn't really approve of Ryan being there, so that still here message is kind of a little bit ominous in that case.
Passive aggressive.
Just like, I'm still watching you guys.
Yeah.
Still here, then, sad face.
So then I also had the weird part which you all had, where you're like looking at a post-apocalyptic world, right? That's something that I think we need to discuss, because that's weird.
So I have a feeling that kid is the Tuesday's daughter.
She is, yeah. Zoe.
Right?
Yeah.
And I think like if you choose to go with the homeless friends, you see her as a baby, and then you kind of like help her grow up and stuff like this. But yeah, if you don't, you only see her when she's like a little bit older, and she's more like Jodie's age when you first kind of start the game.
Thing. So, and I know that if you choose the Beyond, you become, obviously you're dead, you become her Aiden. Because you two have like this connection, right?
Yeah.
And then if you choose the homeless people, you're saving the world at the end together. But for some reason, I didn't have her in my bit where I'm like saving the world or whatever.
I think it only happens with her like when you save the world together if you choose to like stay with her. I'm not sure, like because Dan
probably that makes
sense.
Stuff? Yeah.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I didn't see her either, so I guess it's that. Yeah, like Nikki said, I guess in the Beyond one, you're her Aiden. But then I guess if it's in person, you're more like her Obi-Wan Kenobi or something. Like you
exactly. Yeah.
Mentor her.
Yeah.
No, that's cool. That I like that as an idea. Like that's that's pretty cool. It kind of makes me wish I would have chose that one. Like, I like my ending, but I feel like that's pretty cool.
But it just makes me think, where's our like sequel? Because it feels like it was setting up for it, and it's been a long time, and I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know how well this game did, like, in terms of actual success, like, money-wise, profit back.
Yeah, that's what I kind of wondered, is maybe it didn't make enough money, because I felt like there would be a sequel too. When I played this, I was like, why isn't there a Beyond Three Souls or whatever? Like,
Yeah, it seems like it's setting up for it, right?
Yeah, definitely. Maybe they had the idea as well. It's kind of like when they were doing, I guess it was quite an expensive thing to make, because you had to have like all the people and all the mocapping and stuff, which I don't think is cheap to do.
Yeah.
So I don't know how much money they made back from this game.
That makes sense. I wonder if they could even just do one without Ellen Page in it at all. Like, you could just do the, like, since it's set up that there's a lot of entities anyway, like, could it be someone else with an entity, or just Tuesday's kid, and just...
Yeah, just like having Zoe, the kid, as the main protagonist would work, I think.
Yeah, I guess it depends what you chose, though, because there are ones where obviously you can be together, so I guess if you chose that ending, you'd be like, no, she's not there. She just, she fell over and died suddenly. It's okay.
I guess that's true, is that you would have to retcon some of the endings somehow, probably, to make it work, which that's kind of your downside with games with these choice endings, is like, you can't be like, just kidding, this one was the real one. Like, that feels kind of dickish.
Yeah, I guess it's really difficult to write sequels to choice ending games, because you've got to write at least like 3 starts, depending on how many options you give.
Right. Like, I guess that if you're in Beyond, I guess that you could have it be Tuesday, or Zoe, and it's fine. Ellen Page isn't there. You just know that that's her, like, Aiden. That would be fine. I guess if you did the Tuesday ending, when you go back to the homeless people, I guess you could have Ellen Page, like, die right before the start of the first game, and you're like, Tuesday's sad about it, but or Zoe's sad about it, but like, I'm gonna carry on her work or something. But like, it still feels a little weird. Like,
yeah, it would be quite difficult to do, I can imagine, but it's still possible. Hold out hope.
Yeah, no, I would be about it. Like, I think the world is cool. I would be into returning to it. Sweet. So from here, I've got some answers from Twitter for people who wrote in about their endings. Cool. So first up, we've got Pogo on Twitter, who said, I stayed in this world, and I went back to my street buddies. It felt like a great choice.
That does seem nice, like seeing the baby and stuff. It's quite a sweet ending, I think.
Yeah.
I agree. Then we've got Gimmick on Twitter, who says, I went back to the friend who was pregnant. So same thing. Met it back up with them. Then we've got Amy on Twitter, who says, I went back to the horse guy.
Yeah, it seems like a nice choice.
Yeah, I think if I was thinking about just the people I like the most, I probably liked the Navajo family the best, for sure. Like, I thought they were all great. But, you know, your other choices are good. Like, if you like Ryan, Ryan's a great choice. And the homeless family, so to speak, they're great too. Like, they were awesome when you were with them also. And then Nikki on Twitter said, I think I went back to the farm. Alan on Twitter similarly says, went back to the farm boy. So yeah, some there. And then Control Alt Noob on Twitter says, Alone wasn't my first one, but it's by far my favorite.
Okay, interesting.
I think, yeah, that was what I was kind of saying, right? It's nice. It's a nice ending.
Then Bruce on Twitter says, I've done every ending except Ryan. I just don't like his character. Favorite ending was Zoe and Friends, so...
Fair enough.
He's
not for everyone.
It's just for me.
Just for you. Just for Nikki. And then lastly, Daniel on Twitter said, Beyond, greater than Zoe, greater than Alone, greater than the other two. So, gave a ranking of the endings. What I think is kind of cool with those is that we all had different endings, and so did everyone else who wrote in. Like, it seems like this game can really be your canon can feel really pretty different at the end than a lot of other people's, which is kind of cool. Like sometimes in these games, it's like there's one ending that is kind of the clear one everyone likes or something. But I bet if they gave you like a percentage chart, I feel like they would be like, 20s across the board or something.
Yeah, that's a good point, actually. I don't think it's like you said, normally there is quite an obvious choice that everyone chooses for these kind of games. But yeah, they definitely did a good job at making it quite, like, I don't know, ambiguous, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Sweet. So I guess from here, so that of course is the game itself. So from here we wanted to just give any general thoughts about the game, anything else that had kind of come up along the way that we wanted to mention. One thing that I was thinking about, and I think Nikki mentioned it earlier about Stranger Things, but I felt kind of bad playing this game in that I watched Stranger Things before I ever played this game. So when I played it, there were a lot of things that were like, ooh, that feels like Stranger Things. When, really, this was there first, so it should be. I watched Stranger Things and thought, oh, this is like Beyond Two Souls. So I felt kind of bad that like the things that probably could have felt new here felt like Stranger Things to me. And then also I've played Detroit Become Human, which I would say is definitely like a better version of some of the stuff they've done here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like more polished.
Yeah, more polished. Like at the end of this one, they sort of give you each chapter, they give you your stats sort of like telltale a little bit. Mm-hmm. But in Detroit, you had that awesome like bar graph where it was like, of like, you could go this way or you could go here. And like, you could just see like the giant tree or whatever of all your potential choices.
Yeah, that was cool.
That was super cool. I was like all about that. So I felt a little bad in that like, some of the things for this game to me felt a little dated, but it wasn't its fault. It was just that I was really late to it.
Yeah, I think I spoke, like me and Nikki were talking about this similarly or something at another game where it's just like if you play it a little bit later than sometimes you would have if you played it when it came out, it just kind of gets a tiny bit ruined for you because you end up comparing it to something that, like you said, playing Detroit, and it's obviously the natural like progression of their games, and it's better. But yeah, you kind of say it's not really its fault. It's it's just because it came before it. I think anything they did before it was always going to be not as good comparatively.
Yeah, it's just interesting. There was a lot of Stranger Things that felt really that way. You're like, oh man, this feels just like Stranger Things. It was like, obviously the people who made Stranger Things have played this game and enjoyed it. Like,
yeah. It does seem there's too many comparisons to it not to have been somehow influenced, even a little bit.
I mean, I have to say though, I think I've just never put the two together. I don't know why until this moment, but you're right. Like, there are obviously so many similarities to the story and just the way, like, the different things they're talking about. But yeah, I've just never noticed it before you guys have told me.
That's funny. Yeah, that was one thought I had. Another thought I had was just in playing this game, I definitely really preferred the Jodie as an adult sections. So, like, as we talked about, I think the Navajo section was probably the best in the game. I really liked the CIA mission where you did kill the president. Like, I thought that was done pretty well. Like, I liked doing it, and I liked how it, it made me feel bad, so I liked that it pulled that off pretty well. Like, your little adventures with Salim in there, like, I thought that was all pretty good, too. Those were, like, highlights for me, for sure.
Yeah, I think I'd agree. I think probably the older ones, and I think probably from, I guess, like, from when you kind of start the CIA onwards, there's just, like, a lot going on, and like you said, you end up feeling like a lot more like from homelessness, and then being the CIA and seeing the Salim spit and that kind of thing, rather than I think a lot of the start of like you being a kid is just you getting stuff together, which maybe is why they tried to make it a little bit more non-linear when you first play it, so you get a little bit more excitement like throughout.
I think so,
yeah. Oh, and actually, I guess maybe that's why, like, the non-linear, if I hadn't watched Stranger Things, maybe I would have more intrigue, or like, what is this kind of thing. But I think because it felt familiar, maybe it was like, my intrigue was there, but it maybe wasn't as high as it could have been.
Yeah, definitely.
I don't know. which again would be a me problem, not necessarily a Beyond Two Souls problem. Yeah, I had one last thought. Is I wasn't a huge fan of either of the romance options in the game. I think with Ryan, we've discussed that, I feel like, all right. But then they tried to have you have a romance option with Jay, and I thought that was pretty weird, too, because it was like, to me, I kind of thought you had more chemistry with a younger brother. Like, he seemed to warm up to you and be nice to you, but Jay was kind of like, I don't like you, and then he, like, sort of comes around, and they're like, do you want to kiss him? And I was like, what? No. Like, what do you mean?
Comes a bit out of nowhere, like, for it as well. Like, this is not what I was going for.
Yeah, so I thought it was just a little odd, but I might be like the weird one for sure on that, but I just kind of noticed it as that it felt like they were like, okay, you need a romance option, and I was like, I don't want that one. Like,
Can I have another one?
Yeah.
You got any more?
Do you have any more of those?
Yeah, I think I agree. Like, I really didn't get the Jay one. Like, Jay the whole time felt like, I don't know, you were trying to impress him, but it was more like an older brother kind of vibe. Like, you were trying to get him to warm up to you, but in that kind of, I want his respect type of thing, but it wasn't anything romantic. And I think, like, Ryan, I think was, like, I didn't mind Ryan as a romantic option, but I did like that it kind of died off after a while. Like, he wasn't quite right for me. I know, Nikki, I don't know how you feel about Jay, but
I liked Jay, and I'm tempted to do like another playthrough. I guess just because I love the farm and I love the family. But one thing, sort of thinking about the romance options, was something that I was just thinking of is I'm surprised they didn't do like more sort of inclusive options of like gender and things, because they literally just had like these just two guys, and I don't know, maybe it was a sign of the times, but I feel like it would have been interesting to have like another option, maybe like a female or something, or even like, I don't know, maybe get with Tuesday. But it seemed like that would be something that could have been quite like maybe another choice for other people that maybe would want to sort of do that instead of these two guys kind of thing.
Yeah, maybe. Had Ellen Page come out when this one came out?
I'm not sure. I don't think she had.
Oh, that
I just yeah.
Yeah, that is sort of surprising that they didn't present that as a potential option in there. Like, and maybe you're right, the game's maybe old enough that they wouldn't, but what's also sort of weird, I didn't think about this until we're talking about it either, is that there weren't really any prominent women characters besides Jodie, right? Like, you didn't, like, was Tuesday maybe the woman you saw the most next?
Yeah, and then I guess
think so, yeah.
the mum. But again, she's only really in one chapter, right? Yeah, that's a really good point, actually. We don't really see any of the women.
Which is kind of weird now. I didn't notice it when I played, but just right now it's like everyone was men, like Dawkins and Cole, which you got a lot of time with them, which is fine, or Ryan, but it just seems like they could have had, like, maybe had someone along the way who was a woman. Maybe would have been a good move.
Yeah, like if Tuesday had been like the main leader, kind of one of the homeless group.
Yeah, if she would have been more the Stan.
Yeah, that kind of thing.
Yeah, and you could have romanced her, and then you could have gone off with her and like raised her baby, and then like created this like powerful superhero. That could have been cool. Yeah,
then that ending where you choose them might have made more sense than her daughter. Oh, we've just rewritten this thing.
Yeah, I feel like we maybe made that ending a little better already. Like, with our rewrite, because when I saw that at first, I like, it took me a second to be like, who's Tuesday? Like, I think if it would have said homeless friends or Stan, I would have registered a little faster. But there was like a moment at first where I was like, Tuesday, and then I'm like, oh, okay, I know who that is. But like, there is that moment. But right, if they could have gone that route, superhero.
Yeah.
I like that. That would have been cool. That would have been super cool. Yeah, those were kind of my main general thoughts. I don't know if either of you have other stuff that you wanted to like tack on or anything worth discussing, you thought.
Nikki, do you want to first?
Probably about what I just said about having maybe like more romance options that are a bit more sort of variable than just like those two guys. But generally, I've always been a big fan of this game. I played it around the time that it came out, so I didn't kind of have any things about like Stranger Things or anything like that. And I previously just played Heavy Rain, which I did like, but I wasn't a huge fan of. Like, it just, for me, at certain points felt quite dull with Heavy Rain, whereas when I sort of found Beyond Two Souls, it was this really exciting, almost like movie plot line, you know, and having like actors like Willem Dafoe and Ellen Page, and it was like incredible. And I, you know, I found it quite an exciting and quite a different game, because it came out before Life is Strange as well. I think it's older than Life is Strange, maybe, but it was very like quite a new thing to have a game like that. And yeah, I loved it. As I said, it may be different to people that are coming to it later, but I don't really have any qualms with it apart from that.
Yeah, that's cool. I think so. I know you mentioned like Heavy Rain. So when I first played this game, I think I preferred Heavy Rain to Beyond Two Souls.
Okay.
But I don't think I feel that way anymore. Like, I think since kind of looking over some stuff and like replaying little bits of it, I definitely think if I was to play them both like start to finish again, quite close to each other, I think I'd end up preferring this one to Heavy Rain. Like you said, there are bits of Heavy Rain that feel quite stiff. I think as well, like, it was just a bit unfortunate the way that I played it the first time round. I was doing it with someone else as well, so like we were both kind of playing it together at the same time, which was kind of cool because one person could control Aiden and then one person could do Jodie bits, and then you'd kind of swap and make decisions, which was a nice way of playing it. But I think as well we like took a massive break in between starting and finishing, so I think we lost some of that momentum. And then also with it being so weirdly ordered at the start, like if you didn't play it all in one kind of close sitting together, I think some of the little like nice nuances of the story got a little bit lost. So yeah, I'd be really interested to play the remix like playthrough of like how they think it should be ordered now, because I don't think the remix is in sequential or like chronological either. I think it's just like it is still in some kind of weird order, but I'm not sure it's entirely
so it's like a different weird order.
Yeah, I can't quite remember, but I definitely remember seeing like there are 3 lists. I think it's like the original one, the remix one, and then chronological. And I think chronological and remix are closer together. They like group sections rather than being so like all over the place. So I think in like the original one you have like a bit where you do a mission, and then or like before you do that mission you're in a totally different place, like we were saying with that briefing bit where you're in the you're captured by the police again. That's like right at the start of the game, and then I think they've moved that to be like just in front of the right bit in the remix. So I think they just reordered a little bit but not loads. So
okay,
so I think I'd be interested to play that and see how I feel about that one for sure. I think I'm the same as you, Nikki. I don't really have many qualms with it. It was cool when it came out. I remember, like, it's, again, like I was saying, it's one of the first ones we had, like, proper acting-y kind of feeling stuff in it and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, I feel similar. I think it's a pretty good game overall. I think that for me, like, the things that just don't mesh are ones because I came late, but not because of a fault of its own kind of thing. But I haven't played Heavy Rain, and I've kind of seen both sides. I've seen some people say they prefer Heavy Rain, others say they prefer this. So it seems like those two can kind of go back and forth on people.
Yeah, definitely.
Nice. Cool. I guess last up I've got some just general listener feedback from people, so we'll check that out. So first up we've got Pogo on Twitter who says that this game is wonderful, it's a masterpiece, outstanding acting by Miss Page. I liked her a lot as the main character. I thought she was great.
She did well.
Yeah, she was good.
Yeah, I think that was I don't know what percentage of their budget would have to go to getting Ellen Page to be in your game, but I would say that was very worth it. Then Daniel on Twitter says, it's another title that I feel not nearly enough people have given a shot. A very interesting concept and beautifully played by Ellen Page and Willem Dafoe, amongst others. Great soundtrack also. One of the 3 games so far I have a collector's edition of 4. So
nice.
Yeah, I think it's definitely a forgotten game a little bit, like in terms of things. Like I think people always talk about, and especially Quantic Dreams and their writing, it's always like Heavy Rain and now obviously Detroit, and it kind of gets a little bit forgotten.
Yeah, it does seem to. I feel like I hear people talk about Heavy Rain more often, and especially with Detroit being kind of forefront, being newer and received pretty well. It seemed like people really liked Detroit when it came out. Then we've got Cito on Twitter says, on the tier of David Cage's games, it's his second best under Detroit Become Human. Both games are extremely flawed, though. Which I think I'd agree. For me, definitely, I like Detroit the most of them, and like Detroit. And I think both of them sure have flaws, like, I don't know, all games.
I think they really came into their own with Detroit Become Human. I think that they've sort of learnt a lot from the other two, or the other ones that they had before that as well. And I think that is why it could be seen as a better game, just because I think they just perfected a lot of what they were doing.
Yeah, exactly. It's just a later, it's just a progression, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree with that. Johnny on Twitter said, in the end, it felt like the choices didn't matter, but overall it was quite enjoyable, and Stranger Things totally copied the story.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, it seems like we're all on that point of, it seems like Stranger Things borrowed pretty hard at times. Then Jasmine on Twitter says, it's almost the worst part of what I like to call the David Cage Chronicles. So she would put it third place, I think, behind Heavy Rain and Detroit.
I think some people are kind of like torn. I think like it's definitely, I think you either like it or hate it a bit. I think with this one, I think Detroit is a lot easier. A lot of people love it, but this one I think a lot of people give or take.
Yeah, I could see that. It seems like Detroit, like, not that you can't not like it, but I guess of these games, like, if you don't like it, it seems like it would maybe be that you don't like this kind of game.
Yeah.
Which is fine. Like, definitely these kind of games aren't for everyone.
Yeah, for sure.
Alan on Twitter says, I liked it. And then Kieran on Twitter said, really good game. Lots of different environments, intense and sometimes very sad stories, but overall amazing. The Beyond and Heavy Rain bundle on PS4 is an amazing offer. I like the places we got to travel through the game too. I thought there were a lot of cool places that we got to go.
For sure.
Yeah, it's nice it's not just set in like one specific spot.
Yeah, I feel like getting those change of scenery is like getting to be in like that submarine base and going through the winter. That was pretty cool. But then like Navajo in the desert. But then I don't know, like being in the homeless stuff. Like you got for as much time as you spent in the lab, it still felt like you got to be in a lot of places, which was cool.
Yeah, definitely.
Cool. And then last up, we've got Kyle on Twitter who says, interesting concept, great mocap and acting from Ellen and Willem. Terrible use of non-linear narrative that meant pacing and gameplay issues and making it hard to follow. Not much freedom, as with other David Cage games. Sometimes didn't adhere to its own gameplay and setup. So, yeah, I think that sort of fits with a lot of what we've said, is that there are some flaws in it, but there's a lot of good things in it as well. And, and I think the non-linear thing that we talked about some too, it's like, there was some good to that and some less good.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, that is our episode. So I guess from here, Steph and Nikki, where can people find you? Anything you want to plug? Any of those things, like, floor is yours.
Awesome. I normally always make Nikki do this because I'm terrible at it.
Oh, okay, I'll do it. So you can find out more about us at gametil5.com. You can follow us on Twitter and Instagram, gametil5. And yeah, if you want to listen to us, you can find us on all podcast platforms, really.
Awesome. Perfect. And then where's Not For Girls? Where can people find you for that?
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that one as well. We don't have a website yet, but you can find us at Not For Girls Pod on Instagram and Twitter. And we're also on like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, etc. So yeah. Game Till 5 and Not For Girls. Check them out.
Perfect. Yes. Again, totally agree. Check those out. They're awesome. Really enjoyed them. And yeah, again, thanks so much for coming on. This was really fun getting to talk about this
really
game
good.
with you guys.
Thanks very much for having us.
Thank you.
Yeah, totally. And I guess that's our episode. So for us, if you want to get in contact with us, You can do that on Twitter at StoryEverPod. You can go to our website, TheGreatestStoryEverPlayed.com, which will have links to our past episodes, including there's a Detroit Become Human one, The Vanishing of Ethan Carter with Steph and Nikki, that's there. I think I also have a link to when I was on their show for top 5 about beginners, so you can find that too. So that's all available, but check any of that out. If you'd like to financially support the podcast, you can do that at patreon.com/thegreateststoryeverplayed. Yeah, we'll see you next time, and have a great